Okay folks, we are going to get to work on this power supply unit, this backup system. Brand name is Rescue Star. So what I can see is, if I look down this way, I've got boards down here, a bunch of wire in here that needs to come out. And I think most of the weight is actually in the frame itself. So, a number of different types of connectors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the ends, I'll cut off the bolt connector ends. I've got my wire bucket over here. Let's bring you a little bit closer. This is, I did a dryer for a test scrap, and that in this area. So this is another item early on, so we've got some growing pains. It's not only a question of how do I scrap it, but how do I record it to make it something fun. So here we've got a bunch of these telephone type connections. Guess we'll try to keep those separated in some fashion. Wire out of the way. Well, better view of what we're dealing with here. Okay, so there's a nice bundle of wire. I'm going to go through and take the ends off of that. But I'll do that off camera because you all don't need to see me snipping the ends off of wires. Okay, so it looks like the rack material is aluminum, which makes good sense. Still getting used to where things are. The hardware, unfortunately, is not stainless. That's a nice sheet of aluminum. So we've got a rack here with a number of boards in it. And stick to the bit. More nice clean sheet aluminum here. Extruded, nice and clean, so we should get a pretty good price for that. All right, now this will just fall apart. These guys are all flathead screws. How's that for annoying? That's going to be very time consuming. I have a feeling it's not going to be a whole lot come out of it. All right, this might be stainless, so I've got to test this on the grinder. Alrighty, now we have a board here. Backplane type board. It's got a lot of little tiny screws. They're all going in there. More aluminum. More flatheads. Holding everything in here. All right, now these are just plastic spacers. Ooh, that's a nice board. Yep, that board is definitely worth the effort to get there. Ooh. All these boards are nice. Look at that. So, got some transformers, they're annoying, but we've got some removable ICs, all kinds of ICs on here, some big top hat oscillators, lots of tantalum capacitors, big chunky tantalum capacitors, bunch of jumpers, another crystal oscillator. This is just a beautiful board with ICs and tantalums and all kinds of stuff. So definitely worth digging into. So this is all aluminum, but unfortunately these little screws are ferrous, so I have to get every one of those out in order to get that nice and cleaned up. I'm not going to bore you all with watching me take all these little screws out. I can do that on my own. But let's look at the goodies in here. So here's another really nice board. We've got loads of ICs, flat packs, gold-plated pins, with some with jumpers. More tantalum capacitors. They are capacitors. They're yellow. Yeah. So some more tantalum capacitors. Big chunky resistors. These guys might be switches, so we'll check those to see if they have silver connector ends. We'll see what's underneath of these guys. Let's do that right now. Well, it's kind of like its own little chip. We got tantalum capacitors and a transformer in there. And then over here, yeah, so these are switches here, and Man, that's really tiny little gold, silver contacts there. Tiny little silver contacts there. I may not mess with that. Yeah, that is a very nice board. I'm going to need to check with Chris at Board Sort and see how he would rate this so I can decide if I'm going to depopulate or sell it. This board is a duplicate of that one. And this board, more big ICs, socket mounted big ICs, flat packs, crystal oscillators or oscillators, more big chunky tantalum capacitors. This one also has a bunch of MLCCs on it. So that's another really nice board. One very serious backplane board here, and those are just some big knocking gold. Look at those gold plated pins right there. Man, oh man. That is serious. Again, I'm not going to make you sit around and watch me get this thing taken apart. This is just unscrewing stuff to get at these boards that you're seeing. So that panel that I took out had 4 boards in it. This has 12 boards in it. And I can see already from here that they look very similar. So that's going to be a real nice find there too. Let's also take a look at these panels. They're a little bit different. So let's see what we got going on there. So it looks like just a bunch of switches in here, but we'll open it up and find out. This is a rack of power boards. Yeah, so it's that was a strengthening plate. I got another one on this side. These are, because these are power related, I bet you these plates are also serve an isolation function. Jumping Jehoshaphat, there's a lot of little screws on these guys. I gotta clean that up. All right, so we've got a typical power board kind of arrangement here. Some transformers, big caps, little daughter board on here. Some heat sinks, so I got to decide if I want to mess around with depopulating this or just throw these in with the low grade boards. So this must have been some sort of controller board for the power arrangement. We've got an oscillator, we've got a whole bunch of tantalums. One of them's burned out. We got some ICs, another oscillator. We've got some serious gold pins jumping that they look like they were jumpers that the plastic is not on anymore. So that's interesting. Flat packs, dip switch. So that's a real nice board as well. And then this board, I want to take a look at this one because it has a big old toroid on it. All right, so this board, nice big toroid with copper winding on it. That might be worth removing. Risers, they look aluminum. They are aluminum. So I'm going to mess around with this board. If I can get the toroid off easily enough and get the copper off of it, I will. Otherwise, I might just pop off these ICs and then throw this in the low grade. Well, we finished getting all of the bays taken apart and got at all the boards. So here's our count for the boards coming out of the Rescue Star power switch system. Two of these really nice. I'm calling these the stars of the show. There's an Intel 386 and then there's this ceramic gold cap. That's a Motorola right there. So that's sweet. We got a whole bunch of ICs, flat packs all over this one, big crystal oscillators. So a nice board here. Now next up, I'm calling this the number 2 slot. There were 4 of these. And just look at all of the ICs, socket mounted ICs, socket mounted flat packs, nice oscillators on there. Now I've looked at a couple of these. These don't appear to be EEPROMs, but of course anything that's got a label on it, I check it just to make sure. Loads of tantalums on here as well. All right, now we had a couple of backplane boards. That's to be expected. Next up on the hit parade, this board here, really like this board too. Lots of good stuff on here. This switch I broke into, and you can see that it's got little silver connectors inside of there. So that is a nice switch. That's on all these. And then these big resistors here are probably the kind that have gold-plated caps inside of them. So we've also got a nice little processor right here. And that's got a couple of tantalums, but the other side has got some nice stuff on it as well. So real nice board here. There's 4 of these. We've got 3 of these boards. Now, these transformers degrade the value of the board. Chris is probably going to tell me that I need to take those off before he'll buy this. And I'm very curious to see what Chris says as to what he would buy this board as. Well, actually, all these boards. So I'm going to number them, Chris, for you to let me know after you've had a chance to look at them. I'm going to give still pictures too. Here's another one with a transformer on it. But again, they're big, chunky tantalum capacitors, a bunch of socket-mounted ICs, a bunch of ICs. So there's another real nice board there. And then that board, those look like mostly Dallas switches, but there's also some real nice flat packs, ICs, socket-mounted flat packs. Just some real good stuff on that board as well. Now these boards are all one-sided, so don't get too carried away with that. All right, so Chris, for your purposes, we're calling this one board 1. Board 2. Board 3. Board 4. Board 5. and then board 6. Backplanes are backplanes, but look at the gold-plated pins on that backplane, on those backplane boards. Man, that's sweet. And there's 2 of those backplane boards. All right, let's go over and look at some of the lower grade stuff that came off. Still good quality stuff, but they're a little bit lower grade. Each one of the power panels had this kind of arrangement, a backplane board with a number of power related boards. So AC-DC with different voltages, AC-DC, DC-DC, DC-DC. So you can see from the labels what they were doing here, right? Converting different types, making different types of power available to the various devices and systems that were running off of this panel. These are definitely low-grade boards, big heavy-duty transformers, caps, things of that nature. So real nice boards there, and then a pretty big heavy-duty backplane board on these as well. Now, of course, all of that was contained in the aluminum erector set. So that is a real nice pile of aluminum, and that's a good heavy load of nice clean sheet aluminum there. The other really cool thing that I found when I was taking the shell apart, the steel shell, look at that. Is that a nice piece of copper or what? That is just solid copper bar. That was the grounding bar that ran up one side of the main shell of the panel. So that's a real nice copper find right there. And then of course there was a lot of shred. I've already taken in the shell and some of the shred. I'm kind of pulling a little bit of an Ian Matthews here. I'm thinking to myself, these might come in useful. I don't know at this stage, but I'm going to hang on to those for just a little bit as I work on putting the shark cage together, because there might be some value in those as well.